Well, I think I'll answer it in two different ways. As far as India is concerned, we are in a phase where it's difficult to start a new airline in India for the next, let's say 5-6 years, because there is just no aircraft available, at least new aircraft available. Which basically means that structurally there's a moat. Second, because of this sort of, there being now 3-4 players, and the fare environment being in a certain way professional management and so on and so forth, I think further consolidation is not necessary for airlines to do well. Put another way, and I think Vinay said something like this, that the success of one airline in India today is no longer dependent on the failure of another, which is a very, very interesting place to be in. So irrespective of consolidation, I think airlines in India, well-run airlines in India, have a lot of money to make and have a lot of growth trajectory ahead. This is one part of the answer. But if we look at it globally, and when you look at, let's say, if we can learn from mature markets like the US and what happened with consolidation there, post-consolidation there, I think pre-pandemic, the big four, Southwest Airlines, American, Delta, and United, controlled maybe 70% of the market. And even today, they control about 60% of the market. 2015, 2016 saw the highest ever profit margins in the airline business. And that was a combination of consolidation, which led to better fare discipline, better capacity discipline. It led to closing of the gap in terms of cost difference between full service carriers and low cost carriers. And a lot of investment in efficiency of the airlines. So if that is something that we can draw lessons from, you're beginning to see the early green shoots of that. RASK is up as compared to last year. Capacity is being deployed in a rational sort of way. There is long-term planning and so on and so forth. So I think, like I said, even without further consolidation, we are in a good spot. But this situation that is now played out, I think for the next at least 5-7 years, we have a clear path to good, sustainable, financially sustainable growth. I purposely don't use the word profitability because some airlines will make money, some airlines will take a little bit longer because of legacy issues. But I think definitely a more financially sustainable future ahead. I think the reasons for consolidation and merger this time around is more to do with creating efficiency, is more to do with to take away duplicity. The only strong measure of caution that I'll put onto it is, it's easy for bad habits to creep in when there is a lot of growth. We in India have to take advantage of the fact that we have this huge growth ahead of us because of this whole India consumption story. But while bearing that in mind, we must, as airline people, not forget the bad days and use that to look for efficiencies within our systems. Between 2005 and 2016, full service carriers in the United States closed the gap with low cost carriers up to 40%. In Europe, they were able to close the gap to 35%. I think we have to create the same amount of discipline here so that efficiency can come in. And if we can create efficiencies and take advantage of this growth, we really have a golden period ahead of us. Something that we used to always say is that the airline business is not about that $1 billion idea, it's $1 billion $1 ideas that you've got to kind of go on. If I give you my honest, not politically correct answer, I think as an airline industry, we have not imbibed cost leadership as an integral part of our culture that we look at on each and every day. And now moving to industries which are not the airline industry. The company which produces the smartphones at the lowest cost structure is not Samsung or Huawei, but it is Apple, right? So therefore, you can work towards a fiercely competitive cost structure and yet churn out a very, very high quality product. I think that the miss is where people feel that to churn out a very high quality product, you have to throw a lot of money at the problem. I think today technology and processes and better, smarter minds has repeatedly shown in good airlines and in industries across that you have to make cost leadership as not about cutting costs, but about creating efficiency. Right? So that meant that sometimes you've got to spend money on something which is going to create huge cost efficiency over a period of time, whether it is better technology, equipment, whatever it might be. So I think there is still a lot of room for us as an industry to really imbibe the cost side of it, or the laser sharp focus on cost as a part of our culture. I think what will lead to structural viability is two things. One, is there a continuous cost improvement program in each one of these efforts? You know, because we are such a low margin business, we have to be very careful about every cent that we spend, right? So whether it is payroll or whether it is fuel, I think we have to kind of look at all of that. The second is, from a fare perspective, not demand, but from a fare perspective, do we have the discipline to charge a fare that meets the cost at which whatever is the service I'm providing, whether you're a full service carrier, low cost carrier, whatever you are, whatever is the service that you're providing, do you have the fiscal discipline to charge a fare that meets those costs? That's a combination of passenger fare, passenger fares. It's a combination of ancillary revenues. I think ancillary revenues is another big element. I mean, if you look at the IATA reports, if ancillary revenues were not there, most airlines in the world will not even be able to recover their cost of capital, let alone any profitability.
Absolutely.
And from 2007, when 10% of the total revenue was ancillary revenues, today it is about 22-25% at a global trend. So further unbundling, price discipline, fare discipline, and focusing on cost structure, I think is where it will be. And I think, there is some element of improvement even in margins. I'll give you two statistics, couple, again, things that you would be familiar with. Globally, at normalized levels, and I'm not talking about low-cost carriers, I'm talking about as a global trend, fuel is typically 27% of total cost. Today, it's running at about 31%. So there is 4 percentage point improvement that is possible. Similarly, margins, which were as high as 5%, are globally right now at about 3.1%. So there is a little bit of improvement possible there. I really think that the next phase will be when we as airlines stop thinking of ourselves as only a transportation business, but we see ourselves as a consumer business. Today, a Swiggy or a Zomato knows more about your needs and your behavior and what you will need, and will say, it's been 10 days since you've ordered this, repeat order, and you'll do repeat order, and it's there. And we ask, 100 questions before we can take people from point A to point B. So I think a big mindset shift has to happen where we start seeing ourselves as a consumer business, and not just as a transportation business.